apologize. I do have a fan in my hand. I'm running extremely warm these days, so forgive me, and I might even, spray some water on me. I've got pink right behind me here, and I've got my Alley pillow here. So we are going to talk about what we found out, why I ended up with a blood clot that ended up in my lung, which is called a pulmonary embolism, and why I also got an pulmonary infarction from that. I'll try to explain at least how I see how it happened for me, the signs that I could tell you I had, and there are signs to watch out for, and obviously everybody's story is different. I'm not a doctor, at least I play one on TV, but check with your physicians obviously when it comes to your own health, but maybe this will help somebody not miss a sign. So come on back, and we'll continue my story. And this is my life in pieces.
I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I've changed for the better this time.
Okay guys, welcome to Smile Until It Hurts and My Life in Pieces. My name is Eric. Welcome to the channel. This is not our usual, we usually do hauls and stuff, but I ended up in the ER and in the hospital with a pulmonary embolism and a pulmonary infarction. So let me give you a little of the beginning story and what happens to people, why sometimes they do miss the signs. So they had started me, I have no testosterone, and for years they've been trying different things. So they had started me on essentially a female medication for, I guess somebody that's maybe going through menopause. So it would be putting estrogen in my body. And what they were hoping for was that the estrogen showing up in my body would alert my brain and testicles to start making testosterone because there's too much, estrogen. And I had tried this before. I kind of remembered, and I do remember having to stop it. And I was on it about a month and a half before I decided to stop it again because it was not good for me mentally. It gave me bad thoughts, and it didn't make me feel right. So I said to myself, you know what? This is what happened the last time. That's why I stopped. So I stopped taking the medication cold. And with some medications, you are not supposed to. You're supposed to wean yourself off, but some medications you can just cut it straight off. So just know that that was going on. And then the next, let's say 4 days from that point, things weren't right. Things were not going right or feeling right. I feel tired every day because I don't have testosterone, but this was different. This was, excuse me, my mouth is getting so dry. Let me see if I have it. Should I just do this? Yeah, I'll just do that. Ugh. I don't even know what's in there. Oh, could be. I think it's Windex. I forgot what I was saying. That's what happens to the oxygen will get to the brain. So 4 days. And it was more than tired. So there is a difference between tired and like fatigue and not right. So there is a difference. And I noticed that I was more than just tired, nap, it's not like I just needed a nap. I knew that was off. I did have a pain in my abdomen, and I did have a pain as the days went on that kind of wrapped around here, like it wrapped around there. Kind of like gas pain. So, all of us, we all try to, Dr. Google ourselves or look things up, and so I thought, this was a gas bubble trapped, when you get that weird pain. I felt like if I went to the bathroom, I'd feel better. But then other weird things were happening where the last 4 nights before, I woke up at 3:30. And I felt myself just rocking and stuff because I could not get back to sleep, and I was rocking, and then I would eventually get up because I didn't want to wake George up, and I'd go look at the time, and it was 3:35, and then the next night again I'd wake up, same thing. I looked at the clock, it was 3:38, and the next night the same thing. It was a little bit early. It was 2:30 something. And then the 4th night again, and each one of those nights I also felt chills, and like I had a slight fever, and I did take my temperature, and I feel like it was like low grade, like it was like 97 or something, so it was off. And then on that last day, George was home from work, so sometimes I take advantage when he's home at work with Pink. I go out and I can get some stuff done. I can go shopping. And so that's what I did that day. And he needed to get coffee for his, he wanted me to pick up coffee for his, not Keurig, we have the other one. I don't know what it's called. I forget what it's called. It's I don't know which one is. I can't think of what it's called right now. But sometimes I find it there for him. So he asked me to find, it's also pods as well. So I went over to our home goods area, and also went to the Dollar Tree while I was out. And I was not feeling right. It was 103 degrees, and I was getting extremely dizzy, like to the point where I knew something wasn't right, like to the point where I feel like I'm going to drop at any minute. But of course, I'm thinking it's the heat. It's 103 degrees. I just need to get some water, and I'm just dehydrated. So I did that, I got some to drink, and it didn't help. It didn't help at all. And I called George, and I said, George, I have to tell you, I'm not feeling good. I'm not feeling right. I feel like I want you to come pick me up or call an ambulance. I said, I really don't feel right. And he said, that's not true. If that was true, you would come home, he said. And I said, George, I swear, I'm being honest. Oh, God, that's disgusting. So I was also scared to get in the car, honestly, because of the dizziness. So I actually remember writing to George, telling him if something happened on my way home that I'm sorry, that I didn't do it purposely, you know, that something was wrong. In other words, I told him I loved him, and I sent him the number 143, which was what I used to send on the beeper. If you guys know beepers back in the day, you would do 143, which meant I love you. I did that because I I knew things weren't right, and I felt like if something would have happened, that would have been a gift for him. And that I was able to say, what I needed to say. Honestly, that's how I felt. I did make it home, obviously. I asked him to have our gauge, for a blood pressure gauge ready. We also have a tachycardia reader, which reads your heart. And then we also have a pulse meter. So my resting pulse was 144. It should be 70s, 80s. It was 144. It started to hurt to breathe. When I took a breath in, it would hurt. My pressure, instead of 120 over 80 is normal. It was 146 over 90 something, 98 or something like that. So it was extremely high. However, the number that scared us more was the resting pulse at 144. So, we questioned it. I asked him to check on the medication to see if maybe I wasn't supposed to stop that medication suddenly. So he did look that up, and no, that was not an issue. You could stop that, without any issue. So we knew it wasn't that. So he said, I need to take you to the emergency room, and of course, I don't want to go to the emergency room. I'm like, let me just relax. Let me try to bring my pressure down and relax, and let me, let me do anything else but go to the emergency room. As you guys know, my mental health, I've been working on for a long time, and been working really hard on it this past year with EMDR therapy, which I took a break from and want to restart. So obviously nobody likes to have to go to the ER, but somebody also, with mental health issues, it is even that much harder. It adds another layer to that ugliness. Anyway, so he did take me to the ER. It was they treated me very well. The staff were very nice. Everything moved pretty quickly, I have to say. They put an IV in me pretty much immediately. They put the IV, they didn't put anything attached to it, but they did the needle here. They ended up doing a second needle here, so I had two. At some point, I had two. One was the medication, and the other one was the IV. And on this arm here, so you see here, and also you should see here, this was the arm they used to take blood from me. So I took so many different tests, and I'm grateful that I was able to get those tests and that they did those tests. I'm not sure exactly what they're called or what, but I'll try to remember how it all went. They first started with a echocardiogram to check my heart to see if this was a heart issue, if I was having a heart attack, or what exactly was happening, you know, where it was coming from. So I took that. They also took a chest x-ray, and they took an abdominal x-ray. I also did an abdominal CT scan, I believe it is called, and a upper, I guess, you know, they had done an upper chest and a lower abdomen CT scan. And they did that with and then without contrast. If you guys know about contrast, oof, that contrast is nasty stuff, nasty stuff. And then the blood tests, they did a lot of blood tests. They took a lot of blood. And eventually, they put me in the back into one of the beds in the ER. So they took me out of the waiting area. George had left at this point. I told him to go. They put me in the back. I don't, you know, it's like kind of a holding area to see whether, you know, they could stabilize you and send you on your way, or possibly need to check you into the hospital. So they hooked me all up there to all the machines and keeping an eye on my vitals. And this all started probably around 11 o'clock in the morning. And by the time I was in the back area of the ER, it probably was about 8 o'clock at night. The doctor did eventually come and tell me that they found a pulmonary embolism and a pulmonary infarction. Now, I did not know what that meant. I knew the word pulmonary embolism was not good. I know the word embolism, you know, is not good. I know a lot of people have just dropped, you know, dead in their tracks, you know, with a brain embolism, heart, lung. And he said it's very dangerous, and we are going to admit you and immediately get you on blood thinners. So they used one of the ports for the blood thinner, and the other one was with the IV. So eventually, let's say 10 o'clock, they had a room for me and sent me upstairs. And the important thing at this point was the blood thinner and how much I needed without it being too much or too little. So too much meaning, you know, I could start bleeding out of my nose and just start bleeding with, and you know, without being able to stop it because your blood is so thin. So they needed to kind of find the perfect spot. So every 4 hours they took blood tests. And what sucked was that they kept taking it out of different spots. Like, I don't know why they didn't put a port in for the blood and just keep taking that same, but they didn't. There was no way, if you guys know me, there was no way in God's green earth that I was going to be able to sleep. You know, between my anxiety and panic and this, that, and thoughts, and So I did not sleep. They gave me Xanax. It did not do anything. I did not sleep. I took little bird naps. I couldn't even use my pad or anything because I had to keep my arm straight because of the needle here and the needle here, and I couldn't, move it too much because of the tubes and the needles. And then, I had to take the machine with me if I had to go to the bathroom. And every 2 hours I had to go to the bathroom, and I'm like, why am I going to the bathroom so much? And I didn't realize that it's the IV that basically is going through you. I didn't even think about that. And next morning, I knew the doctor was supposed to be in to see me at about 11 or so in the morning. And he was going to look over the night's, blood tests and all that. So what needed to happen for me to be able to leave the hospital was that they needed to make sure they found the right dose of the blood thinner in a pill form so that I could take it at home and, and start the process. So that's what needed to happen for me to be able to leave. And when he came in, I said, oh God, please, I can't stay another night. Please, I can't sleep or, anything like that. And he said, we got the right dosage and the pill. And then of course they asked me a lot of questions, and the biggest question that you get when it comes to these things is, did you go on a long trip? So, if you, went, like halfway around the world, if, you were on a 16-hour flight, things like that. And why they ask you that is because that is when the clots form, when you are still for a long time. So I know my story. I know how it happened for me. It is a process, and the process, from what I understand, always starts from your leg. So the clot starts in your leg and works its way up, and it settles either in your lung, your heart, or your brain, and that is how you end up with a brain embolism, heart embolism, or a lung embolism. So I knew right away it was for lack of movement, and I was upset because I have been asking these doctors for so long. My therapist knew about it, my psychiatrist knew about it. I said, I need help. I don't have any energy because I don't have any testosterone, and my body has not accepted the testosterone. I've been doing it for 20 years. And so, so that's not going to happen. So give me something for energy. I need something, even if I have, if I got to do, white lines. That'll give me a heart attack. I can't do that. But basically something to give me a shot of energy like the old diet pills used to do or whatever. But I know caffeine and stuff like that is not good for me. So I knew it was from lack of movement. And I was angry because I had asked for help for some time. They say, okay, well, you need to do this, and I would tell them it's not going to happen. Between my mental health shutting me down and my testosterone shutting me down, I told them it is not going to happen. Go work on your core. Work on my core. I wanted to bring them an ear of corn and shuck it. You don't shuck corn. Do you shuck corn? And I wanted to just give them the core. There's your core. Take the corn off of it, and there's your core. So the part I don't like about this is that the clot stays there, and the blood thinner in time will hopefully dissolve it. So I don't like that being there, because if, you know, if it doesn't work, you know, if it's not dissolving it, then, you know, it could just go back to, you know, what had happened. So in reality, what happened was the clot moved up my leg, settled in the upper right hand of my lung, and then over time was cutting off oxygen to that area and to whatever part of the body, you know, it was headed towards. The pulmonary embolism is the clot itself, and it being, you know, stuck somewhere, blocking something. And the pulmonary infarction is the death of the tissue due to lack of oxygen. So parts of my lung were dying because of the clot blocking oxygen to that area. And so that is the infarction part, is the death of the tissue. I haven't looked into if it could heal, you know, if it could come back. I know livers do that, you know, and come back to life. I don't know if that happens with this. But, you know, I'm uncomfortable because I just feel like I've got a ticking time bomb in there. But I did have a doctor's appointment today for a follow-up, but I do need to go to a pulmonologist, which is going to, from what I understand, not happen right away. There's, you know, a wait, of course. But as long as, they said, as long as I'm on the blood thinners, I should be fine right now. You know, I said to George this morning, I'd almost rather them say we're going to have to go in and remove it, because I would just feel better that it, you know, would be removed. So it could take months for it to dissolve. He said that, you know, you might feel okay one day and another day not, because it could move around a little bit and you can get pain again, you know, pain again and things like that. And so what my message is to you guys is, don't pass up the signs. Don't try to explain the signs away. Don't be a stick in the mud, you know, where you know, you refuse to, you know, do this, that, and the other thing. Because that's how bad things happen, you know, where they come home and their husband is on the floor, gone. And they're like, well, what happened? He had an embolism. And there were signs. There were signs. I also had a headache behind my eyes for days, for those days. Behind my eyes, I kept having a headache behind my eyes. So there were a lot of signs for me. Those were my signs that I explained to you. Yours might look different. But if it doesn't feel right, it's worth to check it out. You should keep a blood pressure machine at your house. An oxygen meter, I don't have it right here, but that's the one that they put on your finger that shows you how much oxygen and your pulse. It'll show your pulse and your oxygen. It's that one they put on there. Those are the two things you should definitely have, because those will show you that something is wrong. There were so many, when they showed me, you know, took out the blood and did tests. On the video before this, I tried to show you as many as the results as I can and show you how many of them were abnormal, whether it was high or low. So that's something I wanted you guys to be aware of. the white blood cell count was extremely high. So when George and I, when we saw that result come in for the white blood cells, we knew there was something going on. Usually it's a sign of infection in the body. So that's what we were trying to figure out. You know, George and I were, you know, as the blood results were coming in, because, you know, we're connected to a program that lets us know when our tests come in, even at the ER. And we were, of course, trying to figure it out. I said, maybe I have a UTI. I've never had one. I don't know what that is, but I said, maybe something like that is going on. So for right now, keep things simple. It's not an eating problem. There's no dietary restrictions. It is about movement. And but you should always try to eat good. So they want me to move, make sure I get up and move every couple of hours. I did order one of those leg things, because, you know, when I work on video editing and stuff like that, I'm sitting down and in the lounge chair. So I got those, the thing that blows, you know, the air into the leg, you know, and the pumps, and it keeps the circulation going, as well as the compression socks. I can wear those as well. So I got to be aware, and I got to keep an eye. Well, they have to keep an eye on it. So at this point, I'm just waiting on a pulmonary specialist to be able to actually start checking in on the clot itself, and where is it at, what's it doing, yippity yap, yoo-hoo, fadoo-doo. Okay. I think I got as much as I could get in as an update. Hoping to do some hauls for you guys. I really need to start selling some stuff, especially since I have not been able to do any videos. We are gonna start putting stuff up for sale. So keep your eyes open for that, and if you can, that would help us greatly, since the channel has been on the quiet side because of me. All right, so just keep me in your thoughts. Send positive thoughts my way, and please send hugs my way. That's what I need. I don't have any family around here, so you know, I was by myself, and you know, when George could, he came to be with me, but otherwise, you know, I'm by myself here, which is tough when you're going through stuff, but I'm still here, which is important, and I'm looking forward to getting back to doing something. Maybe I will work on a haul tomorrow and have it out for you guys tomorrow. Until then, we here at Smile Until It Hurts hope that you're doing well, that you are happy and healthy, and make sure you check up on yourself, go to the doctor if you can, and have your blood tests done regularly. Have your blood tests done often. All right, so Pink, you want to say goodbye? Pink? 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 Wow. What a horrible life. What a horrible life you have. Huh. Anyway, I love you guys for loving me, and caring about me and worrying about me, because we all need that. We all need that, and I appreciate it. And the messages we have been trying to keep up with, because those are so appreciated, guys. They really are. I did have friends reach out right away when they heard what was going on. And I do have a first cousin on my mom's side, and my aunt that worry about me all the time on my mom's side. And I got a call, which was a wonderful, wonderful surprise, and I needed it. And that was from my first cousin, Georgie, from my father's side. He's the first person from that side to reach out to me. And we talked for over an hour, and it was wonderful. It was wonderful. It just filled my heart, you know, because I don't really have much family. So that filled my heart. So thank you, Cousin Georgie. I love you. And otherwise, stay safe, be aware, and we'll see you on the next one. Okay, bye for now.
Making love and making plans for a love eternally. Oh, but sometimes love is blind, and you don't like what you find. If you want our love to stay with us, we must work before it dies.